This weekend, they announced the Hall of Fame inductees for the class of 2020. And it included 8 individuals, but it was headlined by a big three, unlike maybe any we've seen. And that was Kobe Bryant, Tim Duncan, and Kevin Garnett. Now, Rob, I believe this is the greatest Hall of Fame class. You know, I'm talking about the top stars based on the NBA stars. This is the greatest Hall of Fame class in basketball history. I think the second best, and you know, some people, it's a debate. It's like LeBron Jordan. The second class, in my opinion, that was the great was 2009, and that was Michael Jordan, David Robinson, and John Stockton. The reason I picked this class over that one is because in this trio, probably all of them are in the top 5 at their position. Kobe's easily a top 5 two guard. Duncan's easily a top 5 power forward. And many people would have Garnett in the top 5 all-time power forwards. At worst, he's in the top 10. Kobe is second, I think, pretty much consensusly among two guards right behind Jordan. And Duncan is, in most people's estimation, the greatest power forward ever. As far as Jordan, Robinson, and Stockton, they're all in the top 10 at their position. Jordan, of course, number 1. But Robinson probably around 7 as far as all-time centers. And Stockton, I would have Stockton probably around 6 or 7 among my point guards. Some people think that's low, but or that's too low. Some people would have him, you know, maybe second, third, something like that. But that's my view. But what I really want to ask you is this, Rob, because the headliners of this Hall of Fame class are obviously Kobe and Tim Duncan. Whose career would you rather have, Kobe Bryant's or Tim Duncan's?
This is pretty easy for me. As great as Kobe's career was, Tim Duncan.
Wow.
Duncan. Yep. Tim Duncan, to me, Chris, is you call it the most unbelievable shots in NBA history. And I'm talking about the shot that Ray Allen made to save LeBron James's bacon, right? What do you call it?
Let me ask you.
Hold on. What do you call it?
Oh, it's probably either that or Kyrie is the greatest shot in NBA history.
I think it's one of the two greatest. As good as Kyrie's was, that shot by Ray Allen was unbelievable.
It was incredible.
My point is, what people don't, because of Tim Duncan, sandals wearing, very little to say, you know, laid back. I'm just telling you, he wasn't your typical hooper, and the chicks falling over him, and flashy clothes and cars. He just didn't fit in to like setting a tempo, or like he's the hot guy on Instagram, or that. None of that stuff. That's not Tim Duncan. He's from the islands, Chris. He's a laid back, easygoing guy. He's that shot away from matching Michael Jordan and being 6-0 in the NBA Finals. Yet, nobody talks about it. Nobody even remembers that he was 5-1 in his career. The run that they had in San Antonio, and yes, they never won back-to-back. That's why I can't call him a dynasty. But when you look at what he was able to do, his accomplishments over a long period of time, it is unbelievable. Kobe had a flashier career, played in a bigger city, brighter lights, better cheerleaders. Everything's better. Everything's better. But I also remember Kobe, you know, quitting on his team. I also remember the Smush Parker
being surly.
The Smush Parker years. No, I'm trying to tell you, I don't have a Tim Duncan moments like that, Chris, at all. I don't remember him not doing what he was told. I remember him in that Ray Allen game and shot. He could have made it stink. He was out of the game on the free throws, right?
Right.
He was out of the game. He could have easily
Big
been like
mistake by Popovich.
that's one of those
Because
moments
Chris
when
Bosh
I say
got
Pop,
the rebound.
Yes. Pop
kicked it to Ray.
blew it. Am I right, Chris? I'm sorry. Tim Duncan has to be there for that situation because if he missed it, and that was Kawhi Leonard, who missed the free throw, it changed the course of his career. And some players would have been like, no, I'm going to be in the game. I need to be there for a rebound. And he wasn't in the game. So I'll just say I would take Tim Duncan, no disrespect to the late, great Kobe, and he had a far more attractive, I'm talking about externally and for people to look at and spectacular, but Tim Duncan was the meat and potatoes of the NBA, and he won nothing but all he did was win.
All right, before I get into my argument, I got to ask you this quickly, and this is what I was trying to interrupt you about. I hear you say this once every 2 weeks, whenever this game comes up. Ray Allen saved LeBron's bacon. What in the world is saving somebody's bacon? Where does bacon fit into it?
If
I've been wanting to ask you that for a year and a half.
If he doesn't get that, if
I get
say
that
Ray,
he saved
Ray Allen
LeBron
misses
winning
that.
the championship.
Yeah, but
bacon.
that,
I've never heard that phrase. Is that a
never
common
heard that?
phrase in like in Detroit?
No, Alex, Rob G. Have you ever heard of saving somebody's bacon?
Other than from Rob?
I think Rob is the only one I've heard that from.
What?
That is
Rob
not
G?
true. I've heard that plenty of times.
You
You
have
know-
heard it plenty of times?
Of course.
It means
From
like your
people
butt,
other than Rob
saving
Parker.
somebody's bacon. Like
Yeah,
he
it's just
saved
a
it.
normal saying, Chris.
can't
Where,
believe you
why
never heard
bacon? I think I've only heard it from Rob.
It's
Really?
actually in the movie The Little Rascals.
Real? What? You know
Spanky
about
says
the
your
Little
president just saved your bacon, and then he tells
See?
him how.
That's probably where Rob got it from.
No,
Okay.
I've been saying it for
Sitcom
years.
king that he is.
Makes
Okay, here we go. All right, look, Tim Duncan is tremendous. You're right. If Ray Allen doesn't hit that shot, I still don't know that he's 6-0 because they were so motivated because they gave away that finals in 2013 that they just demolished, steamrolled the Heat in 2014, and that motivated them all season. So they win in 13. Maybe they don't even get back in 2014. So I don't know if he'd equal Jordan, but I get what you're saying. 5-1 in the finals. He's tremendous. He's arguably a top 5 player of all time. But notice how I asked you the question, Rob. If I could have either player's career, I am undoubtedly, unquestionably going with Kobe Bryant. And I'm going to start off not with all the flash that you mentioned. I'm going to start off with some raw figures. They both got 5 finals. So that's, what you can argue whether, who you think was better. Both were tremendous winners and both had 5 championships.
Yeah,
Number one.
but Kobe had Shaq for 3 of them, and I'm not taking away of his ability.
Do we take away from Magic
I'm not
that
taking
he had
away.
Kareem for
I'm
all
not
5?
taking away of his ability, but Tim Duncan in Little San Antonio, other than David Robinson in that first one.
Other than David Robinson, he
Well,
had
the
David
first
Robinson
one,
for 2 of them.
I thought it was just the
Robinson
first
was
one.
not as good, obviously, in his second one.
Yeah, I
but he
was
was
gonna say,
still
he was a
there.
man.
He played good defense in that second one. But Robinson, you had for 2 of them. And then Ginobili and Parker, I know neither one of them a top 50 player, but still both probably Hall of Famers too. So, they both got 5. Kobe, unlike your boy Tim Duncan, did repeat twice. He had a 3-peat, and yeah, Shaq was there, but still, Shaq needed Kobe just as much as Kobe needed Shaq, or close to as much. So he did a 3-peat, and he did a 2-peat, a repeat with his second championship. So you can always hold that against Duncan. You can't obviously hold that against Kobe. Thirdly, Kobe was a part of arguably, if we really did a poll, a bracket of the greatest team ever, none of those Spurs teams would be in them. None of them. They might be in the bracket, but they're not getting far. Kobe and Shaq, take your pick. I guess, was it 2001 was probably their greatest year? They went 15-1 in the playoffs. Kobe and Shaq are arguably, they're in the discussion for best team ever. Kobe and Shaq are also in the discussion for best duo ever.
They also lost to a starless Detroit Pistons team in the championship.
Fine.
I'm just saying, you
But
can
I'm just
talk
saying
about that.
they made 7. Kobe went to 7 championships, 7 finals. So he went to more than Duncan.
But
won as many as Duncan.
Give me when Duncan
is the fourth leading scorer of all time. Scored more points than Duncan. And then that's when you get from there. You go to the Flash. He's iconic, not because of the tragic way in which he died. He was just iconic because of his stylish way he played and his personality, the Mamba mentality, the 81 points.
But give me the Smush Parker years where Kobe was just the ball hog who just put up shots.
He averaged 35 points. He led the league in scoring. He scored 81 in a game.
That also when he quit on his team. Do you not count that at all? That doesn't matter to you?
I would rather have Kobe's career. Look,
I'm asking you, Chris.
As sad as this is, are we going to be talking about Tim Duncan in 5 years?
We will.
Those of us who are experts, yes, we will remember how great he is and keep his name alive. But most people, Rob, most of them aren't even talking about him now.
Right, but it has nothing to do with his
coach of the Spurs.
Chris,
and becomes a great coach.
It's about what you're taking away. It's not about his ability. It's just because he's not Showtime. He didn't play in Hollywood.
That's part of it.
He didn't do any of that. But he was just on his stage. What he was able to do in San Antonio is
what does
unbelievable.
San Antonio have anything to do with it?
Because it's a small market. Nobody cared. The guy, like I said, he wore
that
flip
doesn't mean
flops
you
to the
don't go
game.
out there and play.
No, but
I don't think San Antonio has anything to do with the success.
Yeah, you don't get the attention. It's totally different from playing in LA.
But that fit his personality.
And all I'm saying is he doesn't have the marks that, and I'm talking about you can like gloss over it. Tim Duncan, tell me when he ever quit on his team or just decided
I'll give you that. That's fine.
I mean, that's big for a guy of Kobe's caliber.
He redeemed himself when he came back and had the repeat championship. I get it, and it was bad, but he redeemed himself. I just would rather, at the end of my career, I would rather have Kobe Bryant's career than Tim Duncan's. Both are phenomenal. Both are historic, but I would rather have Kobe's career. Because Kobe, we're going to be, and again, not just because of the way he died, we are going to be talking about Kobe Bryant forever. As long as there's basketball, we'll be talking about Kobe. And you're right. It's because of the personality, because of, just his plainness. We're not going to be talking about Tim Duncan like that. So let's throw it out to the callers, though, Rob. 877-99 on Fox, 877-996-6369. Whose career would you rather have? Or if you want to answer it this way, who was better? Who had the better career? Kobe Bryant or Tim Duncan? Your turn to weigh in. It's the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio.
Let's do this, Chris. You ready? Melvin in Colorado. He's up first. He's on the Odd Couple with Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Melvin?
Hey, guys. What's up?
What's happening, man?
All right. So for me, this is a tough one because you could argue that Tim Duncan is a better all-around basketball player than Kobe. But as far as whose career I would want, I'd have to go with Kobe because his career is far more flashy, far more iconic. Kobe's a household name. Everybody knows who Kobe is. And like you said, in like 10 years, most people won't even know who Tim Duncan is.
Right. That's right. Because you're right. Look, he hit it on it. I thought he had a good summation of it, Rob. I mean, you can definitely make an argument that Duncan was better than Kobe.
I would rather
have Kobe's iconic career, and I can make an argument that Kobe was better than Duncan too. And I do think most people, be interesting, would have Kobe ranked ahead of Duncan in their top 10 or 12 or whatever.
It's only based on name recognition, not and what they were able to do with Shaq, and he did have a dynamic partner. But if you just look at what Tim Duncan was able to do, it's incredible. It really is. And he's one shot away from being, let me just ask you this and throw this out, Chris. Even if he wasn't the main guy and Kawhi Leonard was the MVP, but
which could
that
have
was
went to several players.
But just-
I
but
mean,
just
not
say-
that Kawhi wasn't great, but yeah.
But just say that he did. That they beat Miami and they beat them the 2 years, and this was the greatest team ever put together, right? This was supposed to be not two, not three. No.
I mean,
But I'm saying if they were able to win,
but
and he was
those are a
6
lot
and
of
0.
ifs you gave.
No,
You
just
gave
that
me
he
a
was
lot of
6 and
ifs.
0. 6 and 0 is all I'm saying. If he was 6
What
and
if
0,
Kobe and them? What if Kobe
No,
and
no,
Shaq
no.
and had beaten Detroit? I mean, come on.
but they didn't beat Detroit.
And the Spurs didn't beat the Heat.
Yeah,
Let's
but
move
they
on
needed.
to the callers.
But they needed an unbelievable shot to make that
whatever the
happen.
case.
The Lakers got swept in 5 games. All right, Lewis in Pasadena. You're on the Odd
Swept in
Couple
5
Fox.
games.
That was a 5-game sweep.
There's no such thing.
Yes, it is. You're on the Odd Couple Fox Sports Radio.
What's up, fellas?
What's
Look,
up,
How you
man?
doing?
I'm doing very well, and hopefully you guys are doing well and safe also.
Hanging in.
Look, the 3 greatest players I ever saw play since the age of 7. I'll be 60 this Friday. Kareem
Young 60, you
Abdul-Jabbar.
sound like you're
Yeah,
30.
you sound good.
I appreciate that. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan. Kareem technically is the best player to play the game in the pros and college, but he don't get that kind of credit. Don't even
And
get
high
mentioned.
school. And
That's-
high school.
That's what's going to happen to Tim Duncan. But the
I don't
4th
think
best
he'll even
player,
be remembered as much as Kareem, though.
No.
man, they just doing Kareem wrong. But
No, I know.
this
Go
is the
ahead.
thing. This is the thing. The 4th best player I've seen play is Kobe Bryant. There's only one player they ever compare to Michael Jordan. That's Kobe Bryant. They don't compare Tim Duncan to nobody, and that's not to be disrespectful to him. He's a very good player. I would put Charles Barkley over Tim Duncan.
Wow.
Nah, I
Charles
don't know
Barkley
about that.
Yeah,
now
he was
listen
fine.
up.
I don't agree with that. I don't know how you could look at a guy almost won 6 championships and was fundamentally sound, did everything right. I just don't remember him ever being bad, Chris. I just
No,
don't.
he had the 1 year where he averaged less than 14 points, and then we thought he was done, and then he comes back and averaged like 17 and then 15. So he had 1 year where he wasn't bad. He just seemed like he was getting old,
And
then
remember,
he came back. But here's
when
the
I
thing,
talk
though,
about
Duncan
Kobe and his-
wasn't as dominant, Rob, in his like the first year they won it. He was part of a Twin Towers. Now he was probably better than Robinson at that point, even though he was only in his second year, Duncan. But Robinson was still great. The second year, it was Duncan. The third championship, he was good. He was good in that one. And then the fourth against with the Cleveland, I thought Tony Parker should have been the MVP of the finals that year. Like Duncan, he just didn't stand out as much as most of the great iconic players. But I wouldn't put Barkley ahead of him. No way.
I can't see that either. I just how could you discount 5 championships?
Right.
Steven
Especially,
in
like you said,
Orlando
with no second top 50 player.
Come on,
other
man.
than Rob.
That's just ridiculous. Steven in Orlando, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio.
All right. Thanks for having me, man. I think this is a slam dunk. It's Kobe all the way. I mean, both of them got 5 championships, but you got to think about it, man. Kobe took Brandy to his high school prom. He was the first. He was the first guy out of high school to jump out of high school that wasn't a 7-footer that got drafted. He was 21 years old, and when Shaq fouled out in the fourth quarter against Indiana, he waved to the bench and said, "Okay, I got this," and they won.
Do you remember the
Scored
Smush Parker
81
years
points.
at all, or no? That's just a blur to you? Do you remember any of that?
Well, they missed the playoffs. Rob G, what, one of those 1 year or 2? They missed it once, I think. And then in that year, I think Kobe averaged 35.
And then they got bounced in the first round twice.
Right.
Right.
That,
right.
Nobody
But they still made the
remembers
playoffs.
that.
But San Antonio had some years they went out relatively early.
Yeah, but not like
Second
that.
round.
Well, Kobe was the guy. He finally got his chance. All right.
Yeah, but
Richard,
he didn't have a Tony Parker or a Manu Ginobili with him either.
Richard
He had
in
Smush
Seattle.
Parker, as you said.
Yeah, that's Smush. And I'm not knocking Smush. He's from New
You
York.
are. You just keep
No,
saying
I'm not.
Smush. You don't say, what about the Sasha Vujacic years?
Because
or-
I can't pronounce his name, so I leave those years out. Can we squeeze one more in?
One more quickly.
Richard in Seattle. You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio.
Thanks for taking the call. Tim Duncan's one of the all-time, but in a way, his career and his memory, what we'll think of in 10 or 20 years, kind of like parallels the whole thing with Hank Aaron. You know, it's like Reggie Jackson is more talked about than Hank Aaron. People are out of their mind because he was Mr. October. He played in New York, even though Hank's on the Mount Rushmore. You know, and Duncan's kind of
you know what? That's a great comparison.
That's a good comparison.
That really
the thing
is.
that saved Hank from being was that he was the home run king, and that's what Duncan doesn't. But Duncan does have the 5 rings.
Right, he played in Milwaukee. Right, in Milwaukee most of his career, and then Atlanta. And when you look at Hank Aaron, Chris, this is the things I always
It's not a bad comparison.
305 batting average.
That's amazing.
Right, he's a home run hitter, right? 305s. Right. And he played 24 years. He didn't play to keep your average above 300 in 24 years because you're going to have bad years in the beginning and bad at the back.
Yep.
And then he averaged 100 RBIs for 24 years. Unbelievable.
No, that's incredible. That was a good comparison, though. That wasn't bad. Hank and Duncan. All right.